What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Monoposto Driver Career Mode. Today we have episode number 90 for the Brazilian Grand Prix in the 2026 season. But if you did miss the previous episode that took place at the Mexican Grand Prix, then be sure to go and check that out before you see this one. I'm going to spoil it now, as always. In Mexico, I really struggled in qualifying. In fact, I crashed on my second proper flying lap, meaning that we started from the back. Although thankfully, with a good strategy and some nice overtakes, we managed to recover to P7. And actually, it was a very good damage limitation Grand Prix because my teammate Esteban Ocon didn't score any points and Fernando Alonso was only P5. So that means we are actually P2 in the championship coming into this race, although we are 13 points off the lead. And with only 3 races to go, including this one, it really is crunch time when we're reaching that point of the season where every single race counts. Every single point we can win counts. So hopefully we can have another solid weekend here in Brazil to try and solidify our championship bid even more. Aston Martin will be pleased that Lance Stroll has had a welcome return to form after a massive blip in the middle part of the season where he's been absolutely nowhere near the pace of his teammate Fernando Alonso. And for the 3rd time in his career, Stroll has managed to clinch pole position at Interlagos, with the Audi of Carlos Sainz joining him on the front row. I've qualified in P4, so it's good to see that we're pretty close to the front, unlike the last Grand Prix in Mexico when we started from the back. And then row 4 of the grid, Ocon P7 and Alonso in P8. So my championship rivals not too far behind me, so we still need to make sure we get a good start off the line. Another thing I'd like to point out is that the whole grid was covered by less than 9/10 of a second, which goes to show once again that even though sometimes in races there can quite often be big gaps formed between different teams because different cars have better race pace than others, in qualifying it still goes to show just how close this year's grid is. And one lap pace, the slightest mistake can cost you several positions, so qualifying has been everything this season, as we are now revving up to 5 red lights for round number 18 in Brazil with our lovely new livery. We are underway for the final 3 races of 2026. It's not been a great start actually. My reaction time off the line was pretty poor. Pierre Gasly in the McLaren has already got ahead of me as we go down in towards turn 1. My teammate Ocon also going past on the outside, and George Russell as well. And now I think it's Max Verstappen and Mick Schumacher battling behind me. One of them was definitely trying to get past. It looks like the Ferrari of Schumacher. The proximity arrows are flying up all over the place. There goes Verstappen. Schumacher's going to be next. He tries to go down the inside at Desida de Largo. So it's been an absolutely shocking start. We've actually lost 5 places, and I'm not going to have that. So we're going to try and go straight back up the inside of the Ferrari immediately to try and minimise the amount of damage caused by the time we get to the end of lap number 1. Though we are still in P8. Verstappen looks like he's trying to get past Ocon, which would help me because that means I could have a fight with my teammate. Although with the slipstream, we're going to try and go 3 wide along the pit straight down towards turn 1. Surely this isn't going to end well. One of us is going to crash. None of us crash. Somehow Verstappen takes the inside line. I kind of hold back a little bit, and that actually allowed Ocon to get the run round the outside. He had slightly more grip, I think, on that line, and that enabled the French driver to get the move done. Although saying that, he sort of moved suddenly in the braking zone there. I nearly hit the back of him. I have to abort out of that move, and now we're going wheel to wheel through the middle sector. The Brazilian fans roaring their approval at this. Round the outside though, and thankfully I do manage to get the move done on my teammate and championship rival, and we're cutting back to my battle with Max Verstappen. Red Bull have been a little bit up and down this season, but I would say overall Verstappen's been dragging that midfield car towards the front of the grid on many occasions. He hasn't finished on the podium yet this season though, although we do manage to dispatch of him fairly quickly with that move and set the fastest lap in the process. So our pace is pretty good. Next up though, my old teammate George Russell, almost contact made there with the Ineos Mercedes. We've got DRS and DRS open. We are going to get past my fellow countryman there down in towards turn 1 well before the braking zone, and we have the next Mercedes of Alexander Albon up in front. He of course driving the car which I was sat in last year, although I think I am in fact going to make a pit stop at the end of this lap. And now here's the interesting catch for this Grand Prix. The reason why I wanted a good start is because I'm going to commit to a 2-stop for this race, because I really think that the hards are not necessarily the best race tyre around here. So we're going to go on to another set of mediums and then pit much later on in the Grand Prix for a set of softs. So we are doing a fairly aggressive 2-stop today, medium, soft, but I'm hoping that, you know, we should have the pace. It's not too difficult to overtake round here. I know there's a couple of good opportunities. Turn 1, turn 4, you can potentially sneak round the outside in the middle sector like I already have done in this Grand Prix. So there are definitely opportunities for us to overtake, which is what we'll need to do, because we've come out of the pit lane in P18. We're already trying to get past Logan Sargent in the Williams as quickly as possible. Yes, we do. Nicely done. Next up, his teammate Jake Hughes in the other Williams. Don't forget, he was driving for McLaren for the first half of last season, got dropped before the Dutch Grand Prix, replaced by Oscar Piastri, and then Williams gave him a second chance in Formula 1 at the start of this year, although it hasn't been anything to rave about, because Williams have just had the worst car by a long way. They're the only team to not score any points this season. We've now got past the full performance of Nick De Vries, and we're going wheel to wheel banging, in fact, with the Haas of Felipe Drugovich in his home race. Don't forget, Drugovich, in his first year in Formula 1 with McLaren, managed to win this race back in 2024. Yes, it would have been 2024. So on this race 2 years ago, Felipe Drugovich was the winner. We're now going round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. See what I mean? There are other opportunities. If you look for them in the middle sector, you can get past the AI at awkward opportunities that you wouldn't be able to in real life and catch them napping. Purple sector 2, even with that overtake, we've caught up to Pourchaire and Alonso in that lovely new Alfa Romeo Penske car. Once again, another thanks to Monoposto Master for sending me that wonderful livery. We've got DRS and DRS open along the pit straight. Pourchaire finally backs out. I'm going to take the inside line into turn 1, and we now move back into P6. Ocon is into the pit lane, George Russell is into the pit lane, and I've set another fastest lap of 107.7, so much quicker than my previous best, showing that our pace in clean air is really good. Although now we move on to lap number 12. Stroll is still in the lead. He's about 5 seconds down the road. Although Carlos Sainz has come out of nowhere. And the Audi Sport driver maybe just used a lot of VRS and he's managed to get a move on me. So that caught me completely off guard. I wasn't expecting to suddenly find him there. So we're going to try and see if we can go for the move again. Sainz using a bit of VRS. I almost back out there because I think my right end plate almost touched his rear left. So even with DRS, I'm not going to be close enough to be able to make a move on the Spanish driver at turn 1. Oh, round the outside. No, that was never going to work. So in actual fact, on the very next lap, I'm going to box opposite to Sainz and come in for my second and final pit stop of this Grand Prix onto a set of soft compound tyres. Looking on the mini-map though, there doesn't seem to be much traffic, so I'm hoping if the pit crew can deliver me with a quick stop, we might be able to get out with very little traffic to have to try and catch up to the guys in front. Through goes Albon, through goes Ocon, Gasly's going to go through as well, and we're coming out alongside the two Red Bulls, Tsunoda and Verstappen going through. I think we're just in front of Max Verstappen actually. Oh, it's not ideal though. There's still a fair amount of traffic for us to try and catch. We're out in P7, a tyre on the grass there. That gives Verstappen the advantage. I was conscious that the proximity arrow was flashed up, so I felt it necessary to leave him plenty of space because we know the AI can sometimes be a little bit unpredictable in this game, although even with stone cold tyres we're already absolutely flying up to the back of the Flying Dutchman, up the inside into turn 5 I want to say, and we're back up into P7. Next up, Yuki Tsunoda on the hards. Once again, Red Bull have put him on the no stop in the hope of trying to get him some more points. We're going to go right round the outside immediately. Unfortunately for Tsunoda, that means he will need to take a grid penalty at the Qatar Grand Prix in the next race and start from the back of the grid. Look at this three-way scrap going up for a spot on the podium just in front. This is Ocon, Albon and Gasly, and their battling has allowed me to absolutely fly up to the back of them. New softs, up to temperature. There's an unbelievable amount of grip. Every lap can be a qualifying lap, and you'll just be seconds a lap faster for 5 or 6 laps than you are on any other compound of tyre. We fly past Gasly. We're now going to fly past Alexander Albon as well. Next up is my teammate Ocon, who's actually gone into the pit. So, I'm sorry I've deprived you all of an exciting scrap with my teammate, although Sainz has come out of the pits just in front of me. So it looks like Sainz was on the 2-stop. Meanwhile, to the front of the grid, this man has somehow managed to make the 1-stop from soft to medium work, and to win in convincing fashion. It's Lance Stroll winning the Brazilian Grand Prix and taking his second career victory in Formula 1. Unfortunately for Aston Martin, it may be too little too late for them to claim the Constructors' Championship. They're almost all but out of contention after this Grand Prix. but it's still a great victory for the Canadian nonetheless, and that'll give him a huge confidence boost. Meanwhile, for me, I couldn't quite catch Carlos Sainz. My tyres were starting to wear out, and as he brought his up to temperature, he was super quick, and I think he's going to set the fastest lap of the race. Yes, he does, as he crosses the line. But as I cross the line, it's P3, it's a podium in Brazil, Alonso's down in P8, and Ocon's down in P10. So that puts me in a very nice position with 2 races to go. We are 2 points away from the lead of the championship. So this is actually starting to work in our favour. We are peaking at the right time, which is fantastic. Qatar Grand Prix next, our final 35% race of the season. If you recall, way back at the start of the season, we're doing 3 35% races. We've done 2 of them at Monaco and Spa, and we've got Qatar, which is next. And then it's just the finale in Abu Dhabi. So we are almost there. It has been a long season. I think this has been the longest season of Monoposto career mode, of any Monoposto career mode that I've done, actually, in terms of how long it's taken me to finish it. So I do apologise for that. However, I hope you are still here and still enjoying the series and enjoying the content. That's all that matters overall. There's the podium in Brazil. It's been a long time since we've seen Stroll on the podium, let alone on the top step. He's really not helped Aston Martin's Constructors' Championship bid at all this year. In fact, I dare say they've had the best car for the most of the season. It's just Fernando Alonso's been up there fighting the 2 Alpines, whereas we've been consistently both cars getting points in most races. So unfortunately, I think Aston Martin have possibly got their second driver to blame a little bit for that one. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram and join my Discord server. Both links are in the description below. We've got a new look for the Drivers and Constructors Championships in this episode. I thought, I'll create a Formula Game Companion result set for this season, as I do usually at the end of every season, but I thought I'll just change it up a little bit. I hope you all like that, but until the next Grand Prix in Qatar, it's goodbye from me.